Touchdown, Chargers! Welcome to Chargers Weekly, our penultimate regular season show with the great Jahleel Addae, and it is a day of celebration, Jahleel. We kick off the new year as we are taping this on January 2nd with a berth in the playoffs. I know we're going to be looking back to Sunday. It was a while ago. Looking forward to this following Sunday. I should say Saturday. It was a Saturday game, and the Raiders. But I do think it's worthwhile, because the Chargers had an opportunity to kind of chart their own course. Right. They didn't have to rely on anybody, win the game on Sunday, and they're in. And after a punt on their first offensive possession, they score on 7 consecutive possessions, really in an emphatic manner, declaring, we're ready for the tournament. We're ready to go.
Playoffs? We talking
right?
playoffs?
We are talking playoffs.
We are talking playoffs. Money, no, but honestly, when you watch the game, it was like they smelt blood. Like their own destiny was in their hand. They're like, we're going to go out here and we're going to handle business. And that's what happened. You've seen the team show up. All 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams showed up down in Foxborough, and they handled business. It was a beautiful thing to see because oftentimes playing in this league, it's so hard to get into the playoffs. I was just talking to my guy here before the show, and I said my rookie year I got into the playoffs in 2013, and I thought, hey, every year I'm going to get into the playoffs. This was easy, right? And it's not like that. It took me for another 5 years after that to get into the playoffs. So just to see, Harbaugh and this staff coming here the first year when everyone said this was going to be a rebuilding year, and for them to dominate the way they have and have their own destiny in their hands to clinch a playoff victory before the last game of the season, it's remarkable.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's you mentioned 2018 when you made it with the 12 wins, and you think about that Saturday night contest against the Ravens and how that goes differently. You're the 1 seed. Instead, you get kicked all the way down to the wild card. That's just a whole different conversation, by the way. But I think kind of I want to go back to 2017 because start out 0-4. Things could have got super sideways. Instead, Coach Lynn rights the ship. You guys are making that push. Week 17, they played 16 games back then, kids. Week 17, it's not in your control. You win the game, but now you've got this 10-minute window after the game. What was that? What is that 10-minute window like when you're in the locker room? You're watching the game, I assume, right?
Yeah,
the TVs are on. So what was that like when you don't control your own? Because that's what the Bengals are going through right now and what they're going to have to deal with on Saturday.
Quite frankly, money, to be real, it sucks.
Yeah.
Right? It sucks because, like you said, we started off 0-4, and then we made a strong push. And we had to rely on somebody else to get us into the dance. And we were hot at that time, and we felt like we were one of those teams at the time that if we got into the playoff push, there wasn't many people we felt that could beat us, right? So we obviously took care of business. We started off slow. We took care of business, and then we had to wait. We're in the locker room waiting, and it's just like – you can't do nothing about it, right? You're hoping for the team to win so you can get in, and unfortunately we didn't get in that year, and it was a bummer because we were rolling, and as you've seen the year after that, we continued to roll, and that's when we had the 12-win season.
Yeah, exactly, and won a playoff game, and they have not won a playoff game. They did not win in 2022, even though they made it. Of course, we can get into that a little bit, and how that thing got sideways, and maybe there was a negative carryover from how that thing turned out. But I kind of bring it up because you mentioned playing your best football at that time of year in 2017 felt like, and it feels like, okay, Aloe's, he's practicing now. I know they lost Molden, and I don't think we can overlook that. He has been such an important part of this defense.
He has.
But Khalil, Joey looks much more fresh. You saw what it meant to have Dobbins back in that game and how different the running game looks with an elite running back there, one of the best in the league. It does feel, am I right? Does it feel like this team
100%.
is healthy, is playing their best football these last 6 quarters?
Well, no one's healthy, but they're healthy. They're getting healthier, right? And everyone at this point in the time in the season playing in my 9-year career, at this point, you're just beat up, right? And you have injuries. Every other team has injuries. But like you said, it's like the Chargers are coming around. Guys are getting back off the IR list. Guys are getting healthier. And then you say, okay, well, are they going to rest those guys? And no, Jim Harbaugh said, no, we're playing. We want to get into that position to where we can actually drop a seed, So they're coming along at the right time. And like you mentioned, you have to play your best ball in December, January. If you're playing your best ball in December and January, it doesn't matter what seed you are. It doesn't matter what seed you are. We've seen it time and time again in the NFL. It doesn't matter what seed you are. Once you get into the playoffs, it's a whole different ball game. Yeah. Your preparation changes. The speed of the game changes. The intensity, the crowd, you feel it. You feel it from the week you step in on Monday, and you feel it all the way until you walk into the tunnel on Sunday. So, it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad to see the Chargers back in the dance. Let's get our dancing shoes on Monday. It's going to be beautiful, man.
Yeah, and look, the schedule makers don't always do you favors.
Exactly.
There were a couple bumps in the road the way they scheduled it for the Chargers, the first ever flex Thursday night game. Obviously, it works out for them. At least it was home, and they get a win, and that's kind of what started this feeling we have about how this team has played over the last 6 quarters. But the one thing they did, you can't deny it, is they helped out the Chargers immensely by scheduling the Bengals and the Steelers on Saturday. And I know Coach won't address it and the players won't address it because you never want to say, oh, yeah, there's a chance we're not going to play, so we're not really 100% focused because maybe. But essentially what they've done is, Bengals win, and now you're playing for a 5 seed, and based on how these wild cards shake out, you got a Steelers team, you could have a red-hot Bengals team in the 7 seed where you could see multiple wild card teams winning. And as the number 1 wild card, you can envision potentially hosting a playoff game. That's where that then becomes this carrot that's dangled in front of you in Week 18 against a Raider squad that's trying to win their 3rd in a row. The flip side of that is they don't win. The Bengals don't win. The Steelers win. They lock in the 5.
Right. How
much of an advantage, I don't know if you want to quantify it or how you would describe it, Jahleel, but how much of an advantage would it be? Ravens have to play. They've got to win. If the Steelers win, Ravens got to win to hold on to that 3 seed. So they're going to be playing all their guys. They're going to be playing hard. The Browns are going to be motivated. The former Ravens home. So they're going to bust their tails with that really good defense against them. Division rival. How much of an advantage is that if that's the path? If the Chargers are locked into the 6 and now it's Justin, J.K., Khalil, Joey, Derwin. Bye week for you guys. Get 2 weeks of rest here before we go into the playoffs.
I wish, right? I wish. Like you hope. Yeah, you hope for that. Like you obviously you're not going to rest everybody, but you're going to rest your studs. You're going to rest your superstars, and you're going to say, you know what? Get healthy. Start studying film on the opponent that we're going to possibly see, right? And it's good because you want those guys to go in as fresh as they can, right? You don't want to risk any if the Chargers are locked, you don't want to risk any unwanted injuries, right? It's about who's healthiest at this time. It's about who's feeling the best at this time. I'm pretty like when I was playing, we didn't even have pads on at this time going into the playoffs. It was just strictly shorts, t-shirts. At this point, we know the physicality of the game. We've been physical for 16, 17 weeks. It's more of a mental game now. It's more of being healthy, taking care of your body off the field, and it's a mental game. So that would be a great deal for the Chargers if they can rest their big-time players and allow them to get healthy going into the first round of the playoffs.
So it's really, I think for people that are, just pinning their hopes on, the Bengals knocking off the Steelers, and I do think that would be ideal. I would much rather have the guys have to play and win a game against the Raiders to secure the 5 seed and just have that higher seed and be able to potentially host a game because of how it just feels tight. The AFC feels tight. Yes, the Chiefs, are coming in with 1 loss going into a game that they're not going to play their starters. The Bills have looked great, but I do think there are flaws in each and every one of these teams. It doesn't feel like any of them are buzzsaws. So like the idea of the higher seed and the potential to host a game. Also, I like the idea of being able to rest. So, the Steelers are able to win that game against the Bengals, and you're all bummed out that they can't get the 5. Look at it as though, the Chargers are coming off a mini bye of sorts while the Ravens are going to have to play, and that's going to go a long way. And again, it's a team that they already faced this year, and I do think that's another interesting part of being the 6th seed is it's a team that you've already played.
Exactly.
And now, granted, the Ravens already played the Chargers as well, but I do think there's a little bit of an advantage there, right, of being able to go back, okay, what did we do wrong? What can we fix? How can we do this better? We've now seen everything they've thrown at us. I would assume there's some built-in advantage to that.
Yeah, because then you go watch the film of the previous game and you say, okay, it's like playing a division team, right? Your division opponent, you watch, okay, we played them in week 5. Now we have to play them again in week 9. Okay, so how did they attack us in week 5, right? What did we do well? What didn't we not do well? And then you game plan around that. And then as a player, you're watching on the film, okay, well, as a safety, I'm covering the tight end, and how was my technique? What kind of routes did he run? What was his leverage? How did he push off? How did he not push? Like, how did he create separation? So it's almost you have the answers to the test.
Right.
Now you just have to study a little bit more so than when you're going against a team that you're not familiar with. It's almost like training camp day 1. You don't know how they're going to attack. You don't know how they're going to come out. You don't know what kind of formations, what personnel, versus a team that you've played already. They've already showed their hand on how they wanted to beat you, defend you, and attack you. So it's obviously an advantage.
Yeah, and look, if they end up with the 5, I think we all recognize the issues that the Texans are dealing with. They are beat to heck.
They're beat down.
Their offensive line has been a disaster. They can't stay healthy. Nico
Receiver
Collins
core.
been in and out. I mean, no Stephon Diggs. They're no Tank Dell now.
Yep.
So, there's an advantage. There's certainly an advantage there. But to me, I think it works both ways. The only issue I might have is, you know what the league is going to do. They're going to put the Harbaugh Part 4,
of course,
on Monday night.
Of course.
There's no way it's not. And now you're dealing with a short week. If you do get the win, potentially going into Kansas City to have to take on. Now you've had to play a physical game against the Ravens on a Monday night, on a short week, going to Kansas City. That's the way. And that's looking way too far down the road. So let's just lay out the scenarios. That's what they are. They're in. They can get the 5. They might be stuck in the 6 where they are right now. But however it works out, it feels as though they took care of their business. So they have this opportunity where they can either play or they can rest. And either way, it's an advantage to them because they were able to lock in their 10th win in Week 17.
And talking out the other side of my mouth, when you have guys play, a lot of guys don't want to sit out. It's like when you have a team who has a first-round bye, and then they come into the second week of the playoff, and the team who had played already has more juice. They feel better, right?
Ohio State, Oregon, man,
exactly.
Look at it.
You start slower. It's happened. It happens. It's natural, right? So a lot of guys, I know me playing, if I'm not banged up, I want to play. Because I want to stay in my groove. I want to have my conditioning. I want to still feel my pads being set. I want to be playing physical ball going into the playoffs versus, sitting out. And then here comes the playoff second round. This team's already cooking with gas. And then we start off slow. And now we're playing from behind early on. And now once we're playing from behind early on, the pressure's on us. Right?
Yeah, let me take this opportunity. It's not an annual. It's technically a biannual because I do it for baseball as well, working on a radio station that has the Dodgers. But let this be a moment where the competition committee can take a look at how stupid and archaic the playoff seedings are. The fact that either the Lions or the Vikings are going to have 14 wins and be a wild card team and potentially travel to a spot where a team is 9-8 in an absolutely terrible division. And then if they win that game, you're going to have the third meeting between the two best teams in the NFC in the quarterfinals. It doesn't make sense.
I agree with you.
And beyond that, just from a production and from a presentation standpoint, if you're the NFL, if you slot based on – so let me get this out of the way. People say, division's got to be worth something. Yeah, it is. You win your division, you punch your ticket into 100%. The tournament. Think of Clemson as the 12th seed in the college football playoff. Yeah, you won your championship game.
For sure.
Welcome to the tournament. You're the 12th seed because that's where you belong.
That's where you should be.
You win the division, you're in. But now we slot by record. If you do that, Saquon Barkley's chasing Eric Dickerson. They're not resting him. The Steelers, the Ravens, and the Chargers are fighting for the 3, the 4, and the 5 seed, potentially a home game in Week 18. Like, there is just so much more drama that can be baked into this thing as opposed to, it's a static. At least the NFL does better than baseball where they reseed after each round, so that's a good part of it.
Money, get on the committee.
I know. Listen.
Get on the committee, Money.
I'm not going to say whose name. I'm not going to say his name, but I have cornered the employee of the Chargers that is on the competition committee multiple times. I said, can you please this has got to be your cause celeb. Like, just get in there and say, this is crazy that you're going to, especially this year, it doesn't have to be the Chargers complaining about maybe traveling to Houston and taking out a team that has a worse record than them.
I agree.
On the road. It can be, look at how dumb this is with the Vikings and Lions. This is just dumb that they're going to end up playing each other in the quarterfinals potentially, and one of them with 14 wins has to go on the road. All right, that's the playoff conversation. Let's get to the game that was and what we saw, and I want to start with that offensive line. And, we all know that Trey Pipkins has been solid this year, has played some really good football. The offensive line has managed to stay together, but I do think it's not fair to Trey because J.K. came back, and so that's a huge part of this. But I don't think it's a coincidence that their two best offensive line performances were Tennessee and New England, and those are both games that Jamari's in there, and he's just a little bit more of a physical presence. He's thicker in the run game at that particular position. When you went back and watched the game, did you notice just from that right guard position, as they may be thinking about how they want to line this thing up moving forward if everyone's healthy, what makes more sense?
Well, Pip is taller, right? So he doesn't have the low center of gravity like Jamari does, right? So it's tough when you look at it, but he's still a baller, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's still a baller, but it's eye-opening. I think it's the offensive line. I think it's the confidence of them, but I also think you mentioned J.K. as well coming back. It's, when as an offensive lineman, when you know that you have your star-studded running back coming back in the backfield, and I'm not saying they're not blocking just as good for the other guys, but it's a little bit more incentives. It's just like blocking for Herbert versus blocking for a backup, right? We're going to bust our tail because we don't want our star quarterback getting his butt whooped, right? So when I watched the game, I seen the physicality of the offensive line, especially the interior on the run game and the push, and it was really impressive. And I would just I have to point out Matlock, dude. He is just he's a Swiss Army knife, man. And when you see him coming at the fullback position and the way they're using him in motion and at H-back, and those linebackers do not want to take on his blocks. They don't. For 4 quarters, they do not want to come down on an ISO and take on his blocks. I don't know if it was last week. It was last week when they were playing, and it was a lead up the middle, ISO, and the linebacker was literally supposed to spill it. For those at home, he was supposed to spill it, which means he was supposed to take it on with his right shoulder, fit it.
It was against the Broncos.
It was
the Gus Edwards 43-yard,
exactly.
Played to the same side.
He played to the same side as the other linebacker. He olayed him because he was tired of being physically beat by Matlock in the offensive line, and there it goes. There was
Sternad. That's who it was.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
I remember the play. Yeah, I'm like, he missed it, man.
Yeah,
he went the wrong side there.
He fit it wrong because it was a business decision. He was like, I don't want this smoke no more. I don't want to have to hit this guy that's coming down, smash me for 4 quarters. And it's just impressive to see him at the fullback position. Going back to what you said, the interior of the offensive line and them just playing together as one, man. It's really, really a beautiful sight.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's there's just so many things we get into today. Like, it just goes to show you, and I'm sure he'll be the alternate, but like, the idea that Patrick Ricard, he has not had the year that Scott Matlock has had. And the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest.
It's a popularity contest.
The coaches,
money,
the players, they're not watching games. Half of them don't even know who Scott Matlock is and what he's doing and how much he's taken on. And like you said, how much motion he's running and everything they ask him to do offensively. He should have been the Pro Bowl fullback ahead of Ricard. But Ricard's –
he has the name.
He's the only fullback anybody knows in the league. So he ends up getting in. Same with Dayon, by the way. It's a
that was
damn
a snub.
shame.
That was a snub.
How you don't include the leading tackler from the number 1 scoring defense in the league, a defense that hasn't allowed over 20 points in any of their 8 road games, has not allowed over 7 points in 12 first halves of the 16 games that they've played so far this season is just a bit crazy. But to your point, one of the things I love, and I want to see if in fact it was the case, no, he didn't get one here, but I love how Herbert is getting these guys the ball. You know, it's cool to see, hey, appreciate you, Hassan, in Pass Pro. Here's a little pass for you. Tucker Fisk, do you realize, like, when I went in to get ready for the game against the Raiders, Tucker Fisk has a reception in 7 straight games.
Ballin'.
He's got a reception. 7 consecutive games. Just one.
Yeah.
One game he
That's
had 2 targets.
That's all that matters.
He gets them one. It's appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know, appreciate you in those calves and you out there, you know, protecting me and opening up holes and setting the edge. And, you know, like, I love that that's happening. You know, you looked at the game against Denver, 10 receivers. 10 different receivers caught a pass. Yep. When you look at the game against the Patriots, 9 different receivers catch a pass, and it goes a long way, man, because they ask these receivers to block. They are asking, and they're going to probably be asking them to block a lot more in some of these cold weather cities.
You know,
you're not going to get a lot of targets, but you are going to be able to get your hands on DBs and linebackers, and we need you to clean that up. And I do think there's something to that, to be in Tucker Fisk and just having a catch from Justin Herbert in every single game. Yeah,
he's been balling, man. There's more receptions than I had in my career, dude. So, I mean, he's been doing really well. And what I love about it, too, is that Herbert is just taking this team by the horns, right? Yeah. He's distributing the ball to plenty of different receivers, check downs to running backs, tight ends, fullbacks. You just never know when you game plan for the Chargers who's going to be featured. Obviously, Ladd has done his thing. Congratulations to Ladd, rookie reception leader, right? And yards, the whole 9. He's just a stud. But when you watch the Chargers, Justin is
replaced Keenan and took his record.
Replaced my boy Keenan. Shout out to Keenan though. You still a baller, dude. But Ladd, I see you, baby.
First season.
But it's impressive, dude. You just never know who Herbert's going to physically, mentally, emotionally say, you know what, you're going to be the guy that I'm looking at this game. He doesn't do it. He distributes it well among the board, and I think the guys, like you said, in the locker room really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the other thing that they're putting on film, and I don't think it can be underestimated because we have been talking about it for a while now. Who's going to take the top off the defense? Are they going to have to go out and trade for a receiver? Can they sign a receiver? Is it DJ Chark? Who's it going to be? Well, it turns out it's Derius Davis. And he's been just hiding under our noses the whole time. And you got to see that 4.3 speed put to use in back-to-back games. Guy goes almost 2 full seasons without a receiving touchdown, and then gets 2 in as many weeks. And I think
they've been handsy catches.
That's what I mean. Well, look,
they've been nasty catches, dude.
The people that are watching it on YouTube and not listening to the podcast right now, I mean, they're seeing it. That is full extension.
Yeah, man.
That is Gold Gloves, center fielder level
1,000%.
layout, sacrifice your body, and you know it, Jahleel. Surviving the ground in football is not easy, let alone when you're surviving the ground fully extended, ball is on your fingertips in the cold, and you've got to survive that. And like you think about the first touchdown he had the week before against the Broncos, just smart football play, improvised, and now that's on film for the playoffs, for people to say, all right, well, when Derius is out there, they might hand it to him. He might run down the field. It might be a quick shot to the flat with blockers in front of him. When you have 4.3 speed and it shows up on film like that, to me, that's a huge advantage now going into the playoffs to have that out there.
Yeah, and it's a good point that you made. You said that it shows up on film, because when I played in the league, there'd be guys who we scouted and they were like, oh, he's a 4.2 guy or a 4.3 guy. But when you watch the film, he doesn't run a 4.2 or run a 4.3. Like, so it's, he's fast, but his route running is not fast, and he's not really threatening your cushion as a DB. Derius, that's a totally different story. He's showing up on film. He runs a 4.3 40, but he plays 4.3. So it's been a really good thing. Like you said, he can come in on jet motions. You could throw him screens, deep overs, deep balls, and he's showing you that he has legit wide receiver hands. He's just not a gadget guy or a special teams all-pro returner. He's coming into his own as a receiver.
Yeah, and I think kind of one of the other things that was pushed out there, and I remember hearing it around a little bit going into the Patriots game, some of the talking heads that were, might take the Patriots and the points, or, I just kind of like the way they played the Bills, and this is a team that plays a lot of man, and Herbert struggled against man, and it's like, okay, first of all, that didn't happen. Obviously, they scored on 7 consecutive possessions, but I think you saw the value of pass pro, that maybe that is what the Patriots felt. That's what Jerod Mayo felt. He's like, all right, I'm just going to send guys. There's going to be a 5th, maybe a 6th guy coming every time, and let's see if they can block it up, and we're comfortable with our guys man on man on the outside. And there have been teams that have done that, and it's worked. And the guys aren't able, outside of Ladd, to shake free, but that's the other thing that happened in this game is got those 2 passes to Stone Smart, who's just torching linebackers.
Been balling.
And so, like, all that stuff is now sort of the narratives that had been created. And, again, it's created because you got 14, 15 games of football to build it off of. But to have these last couple where Ladd's getting inside of Pat Surtain and he's able to shake free of him, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Christian Gonzalez, didn't man him up specifically in the slot like we thought, and look what happens. He makes him pay. It's like, okay, if you're not going to dedicate your number 1 guy and do something about guy, then he's going to torch you. That's the reality of it. He might be a rookie, but it doesn't matter. Like, now you're going to have defenses have to adjust to the Chargers offense, which I don't think we saw as much early in the season.
Yeah, and he's starting to get that respect from other teams. Like, he's the number 1 receiver right now, and he's a game breaker. Ladd's a game breaker. He can beat you on the outside. He can beat you on the inside. You see him take him deep. And throughout the season, I keep talking about this. He's not the biggest guy in stature, but he's going up and making tough catches. He's going up and, as my kids would say, he's head topping. Back in the day, we'd say, Randy, we would say, you got Moss. My kids would say he's head topping people. So he's going up, he's elevating against bigger corners, bigger in physical height and weight, and he's just a really, really impressive receiver, dude. And what I love about him, Money, is that his humility, his humbleness. It's never about him. It's always about the team. Same thing with Justin. Passing, Peyton Manning's record. You see Derwin James post-game slapping him. Let's go, Herbie.
And cool.
He's just chilling with his nice smile and his beanie on. And he's like, I want to just tell you guys, thank you to all that talks about the guys who came before me, who I played with and caught all those passes. So this team, man, it really shows that this is one team, right? There's no individual who is, obviously we have Pro Bowlers and we have stars on this team, but as a team, as a whole, they're gelling and they have one mind and they have one goal.
Yeah, and that goes a long way. I mean, it's like you said, everybody's hurt. There's some guys whose contracts are coming up. Yeah. There's some guys that, are financially set, and the way all that stuff is equitable is when you're playing for each other. And you do feel that connection that you don't want to let your guy down. I remember when I worked for the Lakers, Kurt Rambis, when I was fortunate to work with them when they were winning championships in the middle 2000s. They're the Kobe Powell teams, and Kurt was the defensive coordinator of the Lakers, and we were chatting, and I was like, what's the, it's one of the best defensive teams we've seen in a while. What's the secret? And he said, super easy, help the helper. Yeah. He's like, That's what basketball is all about. If you have a good team, you help the helper. So you see your guy is giving somebody else help, and now you feel as though it's your responsibility
100%.
to give that helper help. And that's just a constant thing. He goes, and it happens with teams with good chemistry. And I think it applies to this as well, because it's, okay, I'm Lad McConkey. I'm a slot receiver who's clocking in at 6'1", just under 200 pounds. But guess what? Kamani Vidal's coming around that corner, and watch me bury this dude into the grass and pancake him, and that's kind of how I'm going to help him out.
Exactly.
Because I'm out here, and whatever, let's go get it.
Band of brothers, man.
Right? And that ends up going a long way.
No doubt, no doubt.
Speaking of McConkey, some of the numbers are crazy, and this is sort of the prep stuff that I'll use during the game, but you're talking about a guy who, these aren't rookie ranks. These are NFL ranks. He is number 5 in the NFL in yards per reception, like right now, behind only Jefferson, Brian Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Jamar Chase, and he is 5 in that. He is second in the NFL versus man coverage. 3.2 yards per route. This is out of the slot. Only CeeDee Lamb is better. So it's CeeDee, the best slot receiver in the game, and right behind him is Lad McConkey at number 2. CeeDee's going 3.4 yards per route out of the slot, and that's the 4th highest number ever by a rookie. Oh, so you know what? That isn't even out of the slot. That's overall. 4th highest ever by a rookie, behind only Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, and Jamar Chase. That's the kind of year that Lad McConkey is having. And he is the second most slot receiving yards this season, and the most slot receiving yards over expected, a plus 151. Like, it's basically CeeDee Lamb, and Lad McConkey is right behind him in terms of production out of the slot. Yeah,
shout out to Joe Ortiz, Chad Alexander, those guys, that scouting department, the whole front office, because I watched Lad play. My brother coached at Georgia in 2001, 2022, and I watched Lad play, and I knew that he was a superstar at Georgia. But many people going into the draft didn't have the Chargers choosing Lad, right? It was Malik Neighbors, it was this guy, it was that guy, outside X receiver, and guess what? Upstairs, they were just twiddling their thumbs like, no, we got our guy. We've done our homework, we've did our due diligence, and we think he will be a good fit for this culture, and not even for the culture, for the offense. And they hit a home run with Lad. Like, no doubt. There's so much good things to say about him. Excuse me. Obviously, just the records he broke. Obviously, you talked about Keenan Allen's record that he broke, and just week in and week out, dude, he's a fighter. Hurt shoulder. He's out there falling on that shoulder, getting up, still battling through. He's a Charger through and through, man. It's going to be really, really exciting to see him just continue to grow.
Yeah, and it's you bring up a great point, and tipping the cap to Joe Ortiz, because we talked about it. It could not have lined up better to play the Patriots last week, and to point out, it's one thing to trade down and draft a offensive tackle or draft a corner or something.
Receiver.
When you slide back, and again, this is where the math just doesn't make sense. I'm fortunate to work with DJ in the booth, who spent all those years in front offices. I just said, help me make sense of, if I'm a GM, I have no interest in moving up 27 spots in the 5th round to give up 3 with all those receivers stacked up right there in the 2nd round.
Big receiver class.
You're going to have to give me more. I'm not swapping with you. You're just giving me your 5th round pick or something. Yet, not only do they get Lad, but then with pick 137, they get Tariq Still, who's just been
another rookie baller.
Yeah, and so that's a tough one. A tough look for Elliott Wolf. You win some, you lose some, but he ends up drafting 2 receivers that had fewer yards than Lad had in that game and fewer touchdowns this season than Lad had in that game alone. Like, that's how lopsided of a deal that ended up being. And you said it. That's doing your homework, your due diligence, and also, look, man, football is circumstance. You don't know if Jalen Polk was here, if he's great, because Justin Herbert's throwing him the ball, not a rookie or Jacoby Brissett behind the worst offensive line in the league. And, so things can be different. It is unfair to put it on Jalen Polk, because you don't know, what his circumstances might be if he were able to catch passes from Herbert. But one thing I do know is, you just alluded to it, is they found the perfect guy. I don't know if Julian Edelman is Julian Edelman if he's not playing with Tom Brady, but they found the perfect guy to go with, a guy that processes that fast, is that accurate. And it's obvious that that's what you value with Justin Herbert. He's such a quick processor, an accurate thrower. And if you're a great route runner,
there you have it.
And I think the difference, and I said this a little bit earlier in the year, and some people took it as slander, and that's not what I was getting at. When things were a little tough in the passing game, people were like, oh, we should have kept Keenan. It was so stupid to get rid of him. And I said, I'm going to disagree with that. I said, because with Keenan here, Ladd's not playing where he's playing. I said, and in 2024, Ladd's better than Keenan just for what they need, that explosiveness after catch. Keenan is incredible. He's a potential Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the great Charger receivers of all time. But in 2023, you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that Keenan would have better production and provide more to this team than what Ladd did because of just what he does after the catch. And
in his youth, right? So obviously Keenan's still having a really good year in Chicago, but it's long term, right? So Harbaugh comes in here, Ortiz brings him in, and they say, okay, do we want to go older or do we want to go younger, right? We believe in the guy that we're going to soon draft. And yes, Keenan's proven. Yes, Keenan has done a lot for this organization, but we might only get another year or two out of him. Right. Versus if we bank on our scouting department, we bank on, us doing our due diligence and seeing a guy that we think that can fit in the offense and have the same impact as Keenan for another 10 to 12 years. So I think that was more of the biggest factor when you look at it. And
it helps to have a guy making $1 million.
Keenan was getting that bag
and did not want to give up the bag. He said, "No, I'm not giving it up." So
I don't blame him.
And you know what? They worked it out. He got all his money, and the Chargers got Ladd McConkey, and now he's got 30% of their receiving yards, and he is the only rookie, as I continue to throw out some of these just stupid stats.
Keep them coming, money. Keep them coming.
He is the only rookie since 1975 with 25% of a playoff team's receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Rookies they're not supposed to have this type of impact, and I feel like we haven't really seen it since Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, guys that came in as rookies and immediately were like, oh yeah, we're a playoff team now because this guy is here. Now we're a playoff team, and I don't think you can oversell how important Ladd has been to getting this thing to open up and getting this offense to breathe a little bit and be more balanced.
I was just going to say it, money. He gives the passing game life.
Yeah.
He literally gives the passing game life, and we talked about it earlier in the year and, talking trade talk like you mentioned, but he has come into his own, and he's the number one. He's Chargers number one right now, and teams have to prepare for him in that slot. And I think a lot of teams are going to start playing man. When you get into the playoffs, we're going to see a lot more man as well, but I think the Chargers will be able to combat that with, 1 and 2 stack on bunches, 3-man bunches and motions and short motions, and just to find ways to, get him off the line of scrimmage, because they're going to say, you know what, this is their top dog right now. He's not the biggest guy, and we need to try to get our hands on. Good luck, though.
Yeah.
Because everyone has tried.
He'll shake you at the line of scrimmage.
He'll shake you and leave you. And then once he catches it, he has 4.3 speed.
Exactly.
Right? He's taking it to the house. So, Ladd, I see you, baby. Keep doing your thing.
The other thing to point to in that game, before we get to the defense, just last thing on offense, pass pro.
Yeah.
Just the level of pass pro, that the jump it took. I think people, when we look at running backs, we look at yards per carry and explosives and touchdowns, and of course that is incredibly important, running the ball, but JK is such a good pass protector, and man, did you put that on film on Saturday.
Yeah, and for the people at home, it's not easy sitting there as a standing duck in the A or B gap with a 6'3", 240-pound linebacker barreling down on you. Like, laws of physics say that you should lose as a running back, right? But he's sticking his nose in there. He's laying them down. He's protecting the pocket. He's an extension of the offensive line in pass pro, right? And not only is it just I have this man. These guys are talking about protections, and he has to know if this linebacker comes, I'm bumping to this one. If this DN's comes on a TE stunt, I got to pick up the stunt. So it's a lot of communication. It's just not, I have this linebacker, the Mike linebacker. It's not how it works, right? No. So you have to be smart, and not only do you have to be smart in pass pro, you have to be willing to almost die a slow death, dude, because it's a tough job. You see when Durham blitzes running backs, what happens?
Poor Antonio Gibson, man.
Poor every running back in the NFL.
That's going to be a highlight that finds its way into reels for a long time. Just one hand shoved in the ground, second sack on 4th down, turnover on downs. All right, let's quickly do defense before we shift to the Raider game real quick. Defensively, I think it starts with Derwin. And just, had only 2 tackles in the game, 2 sacks on 4th down. But I know we've talked about it before, but I think now that we're kind of at the end of the campaign, he was named a Pro Bowler today, as he should have been, and he'll end up being the All-Pro as well. He'll get on the All-Pro team, but I think it just goes to show you, you just wonder. It's like you played him up high for 2-3 years. How do you not? You saw it in 2018 when he came in as a rookie and was right up on that line of scrimmage. Just the impact that he has when you put him close to the ball. It's where he belongs, man.
It's where he belongs. And don't get me wrong, Derwin's athletic enough to play high safety, but his impact.
I just want him close to the ball.
When I'm watching
Where's the ball? Put him there.
When I'm watching the screen at home, if I don't see Derwin James in my lens, I'm mad.
Exactly right.
Okay, he needs to be around the ball. He needs to be in run fits. He needs to be showing pressure. He needs to be bringing pressure, showing pressure, backing out. He's a Swiss Army knife, like you said, similar to Kyle Hamilton, right? And Jesse coached Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens in Baltimore, and you knew that he would come in here and use Derwin to the similar role. And now that you've seen his resurgence. Like he's Derwin James again, dude.
Yeah.
And I remember coming in as a rookie, I was playing the down safety, and as soon as we drafted him, I'm like, yep, I know I'm going high. Like there's no argument. Like he came in and his just physical presence, his aggressiveness, the way he tackles, the way he approaches the game. And I will say this about Derwin being his teammate. Not only has a God gift of size and speed and athleticism, great leader, great guy, but he's smart and he truly loves the game. He studies, he knows what's coming, and he makes everybody around him better. Right? I was my 6th season at the time, and he was a rookie, and he made me better, dude. He came in and he when he walks into the room, he gives off this energy. He gives off this kind of this juice, this swag, so to call. And not only does he do it in the classroom, he does it on the field. And it's really reassuring to see it, and it's a beautiful thing to see it. Me seeing him from a rookie, playing with him alongside in the field of battle, to seeing what he's doing now in year 7. Yeah. So, man, it's shout out to you, DJ. I see you, baby.
I like that that you mentioned it. Because when the combine, I worked the combine for a number of years, and when we would talk to college coaches or, scouts or whatever, there's this guy loves football.
Loves football.
What? Tell me about it. Oh, you know what? Maybe he's not running as fast stuff, but man, he loves football. And sometimes it's lip service. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever. That Derwin loves football.
No, for real.
Derwin loves football. I think I'm not saying that everybody on the team doesn't. I'm sure they all do, because you have to in order to take different levels. But there's a couple dudes that, like, Rashawn Slater loves football.
Yeah.
He loves wrecking dudes. Like, you can see it on his face when he wrecks somebody, and it brings him great joy. I feel like Joe, I don't know if Joe always had it, but you can see the two of them, how much they enjoy physically dominating opponents. It's in their faces. And Derwin, like you said, you don't even have to be on the team.
No.
Just being around him and being, part of the staff, it rubs off, and it really is a tone setter. And I was happy he ended up having that. I know it wasn't a game that maybe a lot of people were watching because it was, out of hand pretty quickly. But on a national stage, to put that out there was pretty darn impressive, and most definitely looking forward, because you saw what happened in the playoff game too, that wild card game, and the impact he had in his first ever playoff game against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
7 DBs, dude. 7 DBs. I was playing Will linebacker. Adrian Phillips was playing Mike linebacker. Right. Derwin was playing strong safety. Des King at the nickel. Rayshawn Jenkins at the free.
Let's see. So it was you, Phillips, Derwin. Say it again. It was Desmond. That's right, Desmond. Desmond was nickel.
He was at the nickel.
He was nickel.
Rayshawn Jenkins was at the high safety.
That's right.
Casey Hayward and Trevor
Casey,
Williams.
that's what I was thinking of. Casey. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
7 DBs.
Got it done.
Exactly, and it worked. All right, to the Raiders, and what's at stake here. Ultimately, it's pretty much the 11th win. It's an opportunity to win their 3rd straight game, to carry over what has been an absolutely dominant 6 quarters of football. You think about it, it's an offside free play for Drake May that gets them the touchdown. Outside of that, the final 2 quarters against the Broncos, you've got 1 field goal on the opening possession and then essentially a surrender field goal.
Right. So
you're talking about 13 points in 6 quarters. And offensively, what Herbert has done in those same 6 quarters, 71%, 40 of 56, 448 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, while rushing 6 times for 53 yards. Like, it has been complimentary football. Cam Dicker has booted every field goal and extra point he's been asking to. He's your AFC Player of the Week. So, going to your point at the start of this whole thing, the idea of carrying it, just keeping it going, that there is value. There's a ton of value in rest, but there's also a lot of value of making 6 quarters, 10 quarters of dominant complementary football.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it was around, I don't want to go back in the past, but Mike Williams played in the game that many people didn't think that he should have played in.
That was 2022.
Exactly, and he got banged up. But it's all hindsight 2020, right? Because as a coach, you don't want your guys to go into the playoffs flat, as we talked about early, but you also want to protect them. So that's why I'm not paid the big bucks to make those decisions, right? I don't know how Coach Harbaugh is going to handle it. I will say it is Raiders week, regardless of the situation. The Chargers, and I do not like the Raiders.
Right.
So a victory against the Las Vegas Raiders is always a sweet taste in your mouth. But I want to see these guys maybe play a half. Right. Maybe play a half, get their feet wet, continue to keep their cardio, and then maybe pull them and sit them.
See, it's funny you say that because I almost – so walk me through it because for me, I just say all or nothing. It's like either playing the game because – you want to play the game, or I don't even want to put you out. Like that was the thing with Mike Williams, and like you said, who the hell am I to question coaching decisions? However, it's like it's Mike. Mike gets dinged up. Mike has his whole career as much as he fights and battles and wants to get out there. Unfortunately, the way he's built, the way his body is genetically formed, he gets hurt, and it's like I don't want that guy out there for any snaps. If you don't need to be, just put him on the. So I do think you can play that game with some guys versus others, right? Just kind of based on history. But for me, it's either you got to play this game to win it, or give him the bye, man. Just give him the bye. Because that's the thing with Saquon for people that are complaining about Saquon and like, oh my God, why would you not want it's history, man. What happens if you get booted in the first round of the playoffs?
Against his former team too.
Exactly. And so what my answer to that is well then you have to play everyone. Because you can't put Saquon out there without Lane Johnson, without Mailata, without Jalen. Like you have to give him the benefit of having the right guys around him so he doesn't take a beating because two offensive linemen are sitting, you're not playing Goddard, you're starting tight end. Like you're either playing everyone or you rest everyone. So,
I just think I don't know, man.
You like getting the sweat. You like getting the reps.
I like it. I do, and I just think the Chargers are hot right now. And I don't think that there should be a reason why. I mean, I don't know, money. I see the value in sitting them, and I see the value in playing them as well. Right. Now the value in playing them is now you win. And then we get a certain loss on the other side. Now
then they'll play, Now
you're might be playing the Houston Texans versus the Ravens.
If Cincinnati wins, they're going to play. They're going to all play, and you're going to go after that 5.
So it's almost, I think you wait and see. And then you make your decision because if you're playing, you're going after the 5. You're not just playing to play. You're playing to go after the 5. Now, if you're locked, as you mentioned earlier, then, okay, hey, you know what? We'll practice you guys harder during the week. We'll push you a little bit more during the week. And then Sundays, we'll let you guys rest.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting, too, about this. And I don't know the exact number, but I want to say it's maybe 50. It might be 50-ish scrimmage yards that JK needs for. I don't know what the number is. Anybody, you guys know what the number is? I think it might be a pretty healthy number. It could be like 500K. So
giving the ball.
That's what I mean.
500K giving the ball.
So
Come
it's
on,
like
JK.
one of those where
go get that bag.
Right. So now it's Herbert.
Yeah.
It's Joe. It's Rashawn saying, "Hey man, this guy came here on a vet minimum deal with an Achilles, with a knee,
all that he's been through,
and everything he's been through. Let's go get this guy his. I don't know what I wish I looked it up before this. I can't remember. I think it's like 50-ish yards. Let's go get it and let's get him that extra cash. And that speaks to what you talked about: family, team playing for each other, and how they go about doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And his story, just JK's story, and like you said, he came in on a 1-year deal minimum and just bet on himself. And the fact that he's even, weathered the storm was through some injuries this season and how he's been a valuable part of this offense. If it's 50 yards money and for $500K,
so here it is. He's already got 150, 300. So he's got $300,000 in bonuses. He'll get an extra $150,000 if he can pick up 58 yards. He needs 58 yards.
Give him 25 carries
to get.
Give him 25 carries.
Right, 58 yards to get $150,000, which pretty good chunk of change.
1,000%.
So
I don't think
especially
no
when
matter
you're
how listen, no matter how much money you make in the NFL, millions or not, 150,000 money is 150,000.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how they want to play it. The Pro Bowlers, congratulations to Khalil Mack. Congratulations to Derwin James. I thought they were going to overlook Rashawn Slater. I'm glad they didn't because he's been one of the best left tackles in the league. At the same time, you feel like a handful of guys got cheated. We talked about it. Scott Matlock.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely could have made a case for Ladd McConkey over Nico Collins, considering Nico was busted up for a pretty good chunk.
Maybe 6 weeks?
Exactly, of the season. That one was a little lopsided there. Dayon instead of Zaire Franklin. I get it. You're taking the guys with the top tackles. Franklin has the reputation. Roquan does as well. But to me, it's like anybody that watched the Chargers knows, even though the interception numbers, the sack numbers, the forced fumbles might not be that. This guy is –
he can ball.
What'd you say about Derwin? You want to see him in the frame?
Yeah.
Dan's in every frame.
Yes, sir.
Every frame at the end of the play, he's right in the middle of it. So thought he had an opportunity to be put in there as well.
Agree.
All right, so we are going to hop over to the couch, get ready for Raider Week, and come back next week, figure out what team the Chargers are facing in the first round, the wild card round of the playoffs, and get ready for some postseason Chargers Weekly.
Let's go.
On Location, official hospitality partner of the NFL and the LA Chargers, offering Chargers fans the opportunity to lock in verified Super Bowl tickets and access to exclusive pregame parties with an official VIP ticket package. Take your pick from the best seats at Caesars Superdome, including the most coveted seats at the 50-yard line, and exclusive access from private pregame parties featuring big-name entertainment, chef-inspired food, and top-shelf bar to post-game field celebrations. Incredible experiences are coming in hot. 5-star hospitality. Go first class all the way from the moment you arrive in New Orleans. Enjoy personalized concierge services, excursion planning, reserved parking, a VIP gifting suite, and many more premier perks. Visit onlocationexp.com/SBLIX or call 877-373-5062 to secure your ticket packages today.
All right, Jahleel, let's bring him in. 8 touchdowns, heck of a season. Chargers punched their ticket to the playoffs against the Patriots on Saturday, this past Saturday. Quentin Johnston joining us right now. Give us an idea of kind of the task that was at hand against the Patriots, going out executing in the dominant fashion that you did, and what it meant going into that game, knowing what was ahead of you.
Yeah, for sure. Really just keeping the main thing, and that's just going out, playing our best brand of football, putting together a full 4 quarters, and winning the game and just doing it, as a team.
Give us an idea, maybe if you can, like what's happened these last 6 quarters offensively. I mean, it's just been crazy. The buzzsaw, the second half of the Bronco game through those, I think, 7 consecutive possessions with points against the Patriots. Does it feel different? Is there something going on out there? Kind of what's your feeling on it?
I mean, honestly, everybody's just clicking. Everybody's just, bouncing positive energy, off of each other. Somebody makes a bad play, be quick to turn around, pick them back up, and then, just keep moving forward. Because I feel like even a long time ago when we were kind of, up and down, we always knew what type of offense we were. We always knew the point we wanted to get to, and it was only a matter of time until we got to that.
What can you tell us is the biggest difference from year 1 as a rookie to year 2 with 8 touchdowns and being a really, really big part of this offense?
Yeah, for me personally, it was just having that experience under my belt. Obviously everybody wants to come in and just make a big impact right away. Obviously I had aspirations and stuff of doing that right off. Obviously it didn't work that way. But I feel like with that experience, just being, putting, certain situations, and then, just being around guys last year, Keenan, Mike, obviously learning a lot of stuff from Justin too, kind of just taking all that into account, going into the offseason, knowing, what I need to work on, and kind of just applying that, everything that I worked on to my game going into this year.
Give us an idea just kind of what Coach Law has meant and how maybe getting coached up a little different or how different it is and maybe kind of what he's helped you work on to kind of put together the kind of year you've had.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, every coach is different. He came in with a certain style though. He always, he had a certain style that he wanted us to play, and he kind of just let us know that up front. He was real firm with everything that he wanted and what he expected out of us, and he would always reassure us that he has all the belief in the world and us, all the confidence in the world with us. Just having that type of energy at the forefront of the receiver room, I feel like kind of just goes around the room, and like I said before, everybody lifting each other up, and him being the main one. I feel like that'll just put a lot of confidence in the player, because it sure did with me, and it just honestly just makes everything flow a lot smoother.
You mentioned confidence, and playing in the league for 9 years, I know all about it. If you're confident, your play can be here. If you're not, your play can be here. right? So, like, what's the biggest thing just being a young player and having ups and downs and just having that confidence and being able to have that confidence? How big has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been huge because, I mean, like you said, if you don't have a lot of confidence, you can be down here, and I've been in that position a few times. But just always going back and realizing who you are, and realizing that you're here for a reason, and kind of just reassuring that confidence, in yourself. I mean, because at the same time, if nobody really believes in you, I mean, sure, if you believe in yourself, that's all that really matters, and that's just, especially last year, that's just something I had to keep telling myself, something that I had to keep working through. Obviously, reaching out to some people at the same time, but at the end of the day, just having that confidence in myself to go out and perform.
Sure.
Talk about your former teammate, and well, actually, no, your former teammate and current teammate. I mean, Derius Davis goes nearly two seasons without getting a touchdown reception. Yeah. And man, did he announce himself with these last 2, the routes he ran, especially laying out for that catch. Just share with us kind of what kind of ability Derius had at Texas Tech and just to stop. Texas Tech, TCU. I know, don't do that.
Come
Sorry,
on now, TCU.
I got you. Come on now. I can do it though. I can do the Horned Frog at TCU, and just maybe why it took a second. And what we've seen these last 2 weeks, I think, is certainly going to make some defenses have to think a lot harder about this receiving core now moving forward into the postseason.
Yeah, like obviously I've been with D. Davis since around 2020, so I already know what type of player he was. Not just as a returner. I feel like a lot of people just think of him solely as a returner, which obviously he's proven now that he's way more than that. And I'm just I'm just so happy and excited for him that he's finally getting that light and being put in that position to make plays, because we all know he can make plays. We see him at practice, day in, day out. Even last year when he wasn't getting, as many looks as he would like to, but he was always, still doing this thing at returner. But just to see him come in and do what I already knew, personally that he can do, is just huge. And then going back to what I said about, us in the receiver room just having a lot of positive energy bouncing off each other. Anytime he scores, or any of the guys for that matter scores, me and the guys, the first ones in the end zone, dance and stuff like that, just reassuring them, to him that yeah, you can do this at this level, and then just for him to do it, I mean it's a little extra special to me, because we went to the same college. I remember when I got drafted, came up here the next day, Coach called me, was like, "We got him." I'm like, "That's cool. We got who?" And he was like, "Man, just come up to the facility and see." And then, as they were calling him and telling him the news, I was able to jump on there and congratulate him and stuff like that. So it was just, just a big moment for both of us, obviously, and just to see him finally getting that spotlight on him, as a receiver is huge too.
Could it have been any worse? Was Tech the worst one? That's the worst one, right?
It wasn't the worst one.
It's not.
Nah, it wasn't the worst one.
It's not the worst.
Yeah,
okay, I got you though.
I appreciate it.
I got you. No, Q. So this is year 2 with Justin Herbert, and we obviously know his physical talent. But what a lot of people, and I'm sure the teammates have seen, is his leadership ability, being more vocal. What have you seen from him, and how big has his leadership ability jumped from year 1 to year 2?
It always surprised me how short-minded he can be, as far as a bad play happens, whether I mess up on something, or just do something that wasn't right. It's like instantly when I come back to the huddle, we need you for the next play. I'm not worried about that. And it's like, okay, bet. We end up executing the drive, scoring or whatever. We go back to the sideline, revisit it. But it's just I keep going back to confidence. Because that's what it is, confidence, and just having those guys to kind of just reassure you about yourself, and that he still believes in me and believes in us. So just that alone, and it's not even in the games. It's at practice. At practice, if we mess something up, okay, we'll just go back to it during special teams period, or even after practice, or if he wants us to come out, before practice, we can get it in, and just make sure that's perfected, so we all, on one accord, and all have that confidence in each other to go out and execute.
If we take touchdown, let's just take kind of touchdowns off the table. Kind of your favorite catches that you can think about from the year. I think I want to say, was it last week or was it the Denver game that I think it was a third down catch? You're probably like maybe 6-7 yards, I think, short of the sticks.
Yeah.
Was that last week, I think? And you dragged someone like 6-7 yards past the sticks, or might have been Denver game.
Might have.
You know what I'm talking about?
I
think it was left sideline, and I think
yeah.
So do those things stick with you? Like those particular catches, the physicality.
Yeah, for sure. Because because a lot of those catches are for third downs, and those are big catches that obviously keep the drive alive. So lot of those catches are huge for me. But kind of revisiting the touchdowns. I think my first one this season is probably my favorite.
Really?
Against Carolina. Honestly, he had great inside leverage. I was on the outside and Justin just threw a ball where honestly only I can catch it. I just ducked under him, kind of caught it right under him. It was just perfect ball. I gave I gave all the glory to him in that moment. But that was probably my favorite right there.
That was your favorite. My favorite one had to be, I don't know what week it was, but you caught it and you showed the world the athletic ability of the backflip.
Oh, yeah, the
backflip. Was that just something you did as a kid, or was it
that was completely spontaneous?
You didn't practice that at practice? It was like when I get in the game, because I know when I was playing as a DB, we got handshakes and we make a play, I'm doing this celebration. Was it I'm doing this backflip when I get it in the end zone on prime time, or did it just happen?
Honestly, it just happened because, usually I have a little something in my head that I kind of want to do, or one of my homeboys would text me hey, let me see this or that.
Yeah.
I score right then, and I'm just I forgot what I was even thinking about, and I just looked because if you go back and look, I kind of paused. I was
I'm about to hit it.
Backflip, and it was just in that moment, and then Justin ran up to me, was like, okay then. It was I don't think anybody was expecting that, which made that that much better, because that was my first time pulling that out.
Backflip prior to that?
Yesterday at practice, I ain't gonna lie to you.
So you just backflipping machine?
Nah, it was just just a little warm.
You didn't have to dust the rust off. You were still in backflip shape.
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick one, since we're all doing it,
go ahead.
I think it was the Denver game, right, where it was a bit of a scramble drill in the back of the end zone, and just how long does it take, or does it take long at all, to kind of establish that sort of chemistry, to sort of know, okay, we got to be on the same page here. Play is broken down. What was called ain't working, and now I've got to help kind of make up for it.
100%. It does, and then that goes along with just the quarterback having confidence in you. But at the same time, with little scramble drills and stuff like that, it's just getting to a wake as fast as you can, where there's. There's always gonna be somebody on you, but where you got just that much space for him to fit into, and then it's just all about giving him your eyes, because if you're just running freely and you're not looking at him, he can throw it and you not even see it. So it's honestly just getting to a spot as fast as you can and just literally just staring him down until he sees you and just letting him know you're open.
So at the receiver position, a lot of people back home may think it's just about being fast, athletic, and being able to catch, but a lot of times they don't understand it's about a smart game, right? So you can have a cover 2 look and your route could depend on if the middle field is open, if the middle field is closed, you're converting. If it's one-on-one on the outside and it's press, you might run a fade. If he's off, you're running a hitch, right? So explain how much goes into not only being a physical gifted athlete at the receiver position in the league, but being mentally and having the mental capacity, because defenses and DBs and formations change post-snap, 100%. Right? So explain how you have to be so locked in for film study, being on the same one accord with your quarterback and just playing the game within the game.
Yeah, that's almost I'm not gonna say more important, but definitely neck and neck with being just as important as being fast, strong, twitchy. Because you can have all that, and if you don't convert on the cover 2, you're covered. You can't really do anything with that athletic ability because he's not throwing the ball to you. So as much time as we put on the field, all of that comes with being just locked in meetings, locked in after meetings, calling the coach up and hey coach, can we go back to the room and just recover this? I don't really get it, because that's the main thing too. Is just you can get something, but we have so many plays and we got so much stuff to think of. The stuff we learned on Tuesday can be easily forgotten on Thursday. So just making sure you're going back over it is just. It's just something my dad used to tell me all the time, and that's just being a student of the game. Really just honing in, locking in, because like I said, I'm gifted. I can jump, run, and do whatever. But if I don't know what I'm doing, and how to do it, I'm close to useless. So that's huge for sure.
What about blocking? Just in terms of what's asked of you. How you've refined your blocking techniques, how much you like it. I think about Ladd's block on PJ Locke, that Bronco game, and there was some on the mini movie we got to see all you guys celebrate with him after he pushed 100%. That guy into the pancake. Kind of walk us through blocking and how important that is, and how much better of a blocker you are now in the NFL than maybe you were asked to do at TCU.
Yeah, for sure. it's huge. I mean, because like I mean, who you blocking for? You either blocking for one of your receivers that got the ball, or the running back or the quarterback, or somebody's coming out the backfield. If you don't block for them, now y'all kind of thrown off. Now it's like, okay, you don't want to block for me. Okay, you know, it's gonna see, what happens on this next play. But that's just about trust. That's just about pure. Will and want to, for your teammates. I mean, if you don't want to block and get your teammates more yards, a touchdown, and just, possibly can spring a huge highlight for, J.K. or Gus, or, even Justin, if he, breaks on the run, all he needs is a key block, and, they're getting a hole and breaking. So that's just pure want-to, and that's just pure attitude and, love for the game and love for your teammates. Honestly working your butt off for them, and not only when you get the ball, because obviously you get the ball, you want them to block for you. So it's kind of just vice versa. But that's huge, very important. But my role has changed a lot. Obviously being up here, surprisingly as a receiver, you have to actually block too. So at TCU I did. Not as much as I did up here though, and that's just something that I recognized coming up here, kind of just trying to check off every box of, okay, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Am I putting enough effort in this area opposed to this area? Blocking honestly wasn't my strongest suit coming in, but like I said, it's just a pure want-to, and I just had to dial in just that much more, and just get my hand placement right, get my technique right, getting low enough, not just approaching the DB super high and then getting thrown off my mark, and it's like you just in the way now, you're not really even doing anything. I feel like it's changed a lot up here, but it's been good.
Q, you're such a physically gifted athlete, and your yak is one of your biggest strong points of your game, but Coach, I've seen you do jet sweeps. I've seen them run screens with you, drag routes. I've seen you score deep balls. As a receiver, if you can pinpoint one thing that you enjoy the most as how you're used, right? Is it a deep ball? Is it a short pass so I can get my hands on the ball and showcase my yak, right? Yeah. What is the biggest thing you say as a receiver that's so gifted that can do a lot? Yeah,
for sure. I feel like it'll be a little short stuff where I can show off a little bit. I had I had just like a little smoke route last week, and I seen the defender seeing the sticks. I'm like, I'm definitely getting past him. So gave a little move outside, cut back inside. Got off the block and got the first down. So just being able to showcase that whenever I can. Especially as being a bigger, more taller receiver. That's not always common just to be twitching and stuff like that. So it's always fun to put that on display for sure.
Yes, sir. Last thing for you before the microphone attacks Jahleel again.
Like what?
We see a lot of the guys around the facility wearing their sweatshirts that have the score from a big game, or see the Dick or the Walter Payton Man of the Year T-shirts that some guys are like. It seems cool, right?
For sure.
It feels like you guys are sort of into that. Kind of 100%. Take us through just the little things that maybe have been added with this staff like that, and why maybe sometimes the small things kind of go along.
No elevators.
No elevators.
So okay, yeah. So so with the shirts and stuff like that, and then with little things we get after the game for maybe not necessarily being the player of the game, but having a key block or something like with Coach Harbaugh, nothing goes unrecognized. So he always gives us some type of reward or some type of shout out to the team, so everybody recognizes that. But with the shirts, like you said, it's just the little things that kind of just gets everybody into it and keeps everybody in tune. So it's not like we're just going through the motions and just doing the same thing every day. It keeps everything up. And then obviously with the Cam shirts, that's just purely showing support and love for our teammate. And everybody's into it. Everybody's showing that we want to be here, showing that we want to play and fight for our teammates and play for this team. And then the no elevator, that's my boy Simi. He made those for everybody and stuff like that. It's literally just passing them out, and I didn't even realize he had everybody's number and stuff on the side. So anytime with stuff like that, one of my teammates has a brand or a hat, or I mean even if it's just like a little shirt or just anything, we're gonna for sure sport it, wear it, and then just show support for them.
Have you taken the elevator?
Have I taken an elevator?
Since
since the hat, no, I can't. We can't do it. We can't do it.
Put you guys on high floors, man.
100%.
It's a lot of stairs to
100%.
be walking. All right, we'll get you out on this last one. Jahleel was talking about it earlier. Just nobody's healthy right now. It's just the way that life is in the NFL. How do you feel right now in terms of, and like, it feels like the team has really sort of hit a bit of a stride here. Like, what kind of condition do you feel like you're in going into the postseason?
It's week 18, knees hurt. No, I'm just playing.
No,
I'm good. I feel like I feel as good as I can be. To this point, we do. Obviously got some guys nicked up and stuff like that, but fighting as hard as they can to get back with the team, because that's just how much we love and appreciate each other around here. Just getting back, even if you still feeling a little ache or pain, we still for the most part, man, is to get out to practice, and if you miss a few days of practice, come back for a walkthrough and make sure you just locked in the meeting so you'll be ready for game time for sure.
Well, good luck against the Raiders. Good luck going into the postseason. We appreciate you taking some time out, Q, and congratulations on a heck of a season,
man.
Cool.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for us on this Chargers Weekly. When we're back next week, we'll be previewing whichever opponent will be unfortunate enough to have drawn the Chargers in the wild card round.